Hey, this is Margaret with Desserts on Delicious, and I want to show you how I create my stencils in Cricut. So we're going to open up a new project, and I'm going to be making SpongeBob cookies, a cookie stencil. So here you can see I've uploaded a couple of images for SpongeBob, and we're just going to take the SpongeBob here and add it to our canvas. Now, when it comes over, of course, it's quite large, but that's okay. We're going to resize it to make it much smaller. But what I first want to do is to, after I've made it a little smaller, I am going to highlight it. Well, no, I didn't need to do that. But let me show you over here. So with the SVG image, I've hidden a lot of parts I don't want. Okay, so now I want to remove the eyeballs, the little black pieces there. So I've highlighted it, and as you can see over here, contour is highlighted. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to click the two little eyeballs there because I'll draw these in. What I'm left with is this. This is what I want in order for me to cut out and put on my cookie. So now the next step I have to do, because I don't want those two pieces to be cut out, and I don't want the nose to move when I put down my raw icing, or the teeth to the centerpiece to come out. So what I do, I have to slice it. So I have to first, let me unlock this, because now I'm going to size it down to the size that I want. My cookie is about 3 inches, and so I like to go down to a little, like 2.5, maybe a little bit less than that, because when it prints out, it may print out a little bit bigger, but I always want to go down in order to make sure it fits on my cookie. So now I brought over a square, and I'm going to resize this square really small, so that I could use this thin line in order to slice out sections on the stencil. The parts, again, I don't want to come out. So I'm going to duplicate this as well. So let me click that. Okay. So I'm going to slice out twice. So as you can see here, I'm moving it and I'm placing it here right on top of the nose and, of course, on the eyes, because, again, I don't want these things to move or to be cut out when I cut it. So I'm going to click slice. Okay. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this out the way, and I'm going to delete the line, this line here. So I go over and I just start clicking each of the slice results that I want to delete. And I know this is not quite clear, but bear with me. Okay. And I'm moving in closer to show you where there's like little marks left, so that the little eyeballs won't fall out. And I'm going to do the same thing on the teeth, because, again, I don't want that little centerpiece to come out. So I've placed it where I want it on the teeth. I'm going to highlight it again, take my mouse and just roll over to highlight it. And then the slice button pops up again, and I'm going to click slice. Okay. And here are my slice results, and I'm going to delete these results, the other pieces that I don't want to keep. Okay, and so let me make this a little bit bigger so that I can show you, if you can see it there, there's little pieces left. That way I know it won't drop when I cut it out. And the same thing with the teeth. I don't know if you can see those little markings there that are still on the black part that will not cut out. So now I'm going to cut it out. So I'm going to click on my mat there, and here it is set up on my mat. Okay, so now we're going to click continue, and here it takes you to the different favorite materials you like to use, and I like to use my stencil film here. But what I want to show you here, if you search for materials, and I just typed in stencil, and it brought up the whole list. But down here at the bottom, it says material settings. Now, this is important. So when you click on material settings, you're going to scroll all the way down until you find the stencil film. And when you find that, it will show you how many times it will cut. And I have mine set for 3 cuts. I want it to pass by 3 times. This way it ensures that everything is going to be cut on the thick film that I use, stencil film I use. So I'm not going to change that. But it's normally set to 1, but if you want to set it to 2, that's fine. But I like to set mine to 3 just to make sure it comes out. And I do like to add more pressure. Now, this does affect your board that you're putting your material on. I don't know what it's called. Okay, now fast forward. I've already cut out this stencil, so I didn't show you that piece because it's already been done. But this is what it looks like on my stencil sheet. As you can see, by me slicing it, the eye center part did not come out, nor the teeth. They did not come out. Otherwise, if you didn't slice, they would be out, and that's not what you want. You just really want the black outline. Okay, so this is what I have to start. I have my cookie icing here from Walmart. I have my fondant, I have my scraper, my cookie cutter, and some shortening, because this is what I'm going to add just a little bit either to my fondant or to the back of my stencil. Okay, let's get started. So I'm going to add just a little bit of cornstarch to my mat here. And then next, I'm going to roll out my fondant. So this prevents it from sticking to my roller as well as to the mat by using just a little bit of cornstarch. Now, to attach my stencil, I'm going to use a little bit of shortening. So I put a little bit of shortening on this plate here, and I'm just going to add it to my fondant. So you can add it to the fondant, or you can put it on the back of a stencil. But I'm using this sort of like a glue to hold down my stencil to prevent it from bleeding when I add on my black cookie icing. So I'm going to lay that down on my fondant, my stencil on my fondant, and I'm going to use my roller to push it down just a little bit. So I'm not using strong pressure, just a little bit of pressure. And as you can see, the stencil is stuck. And now I'm just going to add on a little bit of the black cookie icing. And I'm going to take my scraper. I'm just going to rub it over. And I just want to make sure that all of the lines that I cut out, that it is even. So now I'm going to remove the stencil so that you can see the design. Okay, so it looks great. And this is a really easy process. Believe me, it takes, it helps me save on time by me creating a stencil as opposed to trying to freehand this. At least it creates some consistency when I use a stencil or create a stencil. So I'm just going to remove the fondant pieces that I don't need. And now I've added on corn syrup. I like using corn syrup on my cookies because this way I can move the fondant around a little easier. And now I'm just going to lift up my fondant piece and add it to my cookie. Okay. I'm just kind of trying to move it around, make sure it's nice and centered. Okay. So that looks great. All right, so let's move on to the next step. Okay, now while the fondant is still soft, I come in with just the back of my brush here and just making some indentions to make it look like the sponge in the SpongeBob. And I just randomly do this, as you can see there. Now I'm going to be using poppy paint to paint my eyes. But before I apply the paint, I like to allow the cookie to dry at least about an hour. I need the fondant to harden up some because when I use my paintbrush, I don't want to leave any indentions in the fondant. So again, you want to maybe give it an hour or so before adding on your poppy paint. So I just take my paintbrush here and I'm just going to paint in the eyes. Now I'm going to speed up this part a bit. Okay, as I continue to paint the eye. And I just take my time going around it in the circle, trying to make sure I don't hit the nose or anything. Okay, now we're going to come in with the paint and paint our teeth. Okay. All right, so now we're going to let that dry. Next, we're going to come in with some blue poppy paint. I added a little bit of blue to my white because I didn't want it to be a dark royal blue eyeball, but I wanted it to be a little bit lighter. So I'm just making some circles there. And so you do have to allow that to dry. And then just to keep this simple, I just decided to use some of my black cookie icing to make the eyeballs. And I'm using a toothpick in order to do this. I didn't want to put too much into a piping bag, so I'm just taking a little bit from the tube. And there you have it. I hope you like this tutorial. And here are all the cookies. Like, follow, and share for more.